It may be hard to believe, but 2020 started full of cautious optimism. On January the 15th, the US and China signed phase one of a trade war truce. It was hoped this would be the beginning of the end of the trade spat that dimmed global growth prospects long before the pandemic crushed them.
President Xi Jinping points out that there are 1,000 reasons to make China-US relations succeed and not a single one to let it fail.
And it's all a very, very beautiful game of chess or game of poker.
The centerpiece of the Phase 1 agreement was an ambitious pledge by China. It agreed to purchase an extra $200 billion worth of US products and services over 2 years. Beijing also promised to address some US complaints about intellectual property practices and competitive currency devaluations.
We have a great relationship.
For its part, Washington would roll back some of its tariffs on Chinese goods. A handshake and fist bump seemed to seal the deal. But as the year dragged on, other fronts pushed US-China relations into freefall. There were accusations of national security threats posed by Chinese tech firms. And consulates in Houston and Chengdu were shut down.
We closed our consulate in Houston because it was a den of spies.
When it came to the pandemic, Trump threatened fresh tariffs on China over its handling of the outbreak. And here in Hong Kong, Washington has slapped sanctions on officials as high up as the chief executive over issues relating to what they call a crackdown on freedoms here. Yet the trade pact itself never became collateral damage. In fact, the agreement might now be the only thing Washington and Beijing can agree on.
It does not mean that trade somehow is strong. It just shows that how bad other parts of the relationship has gotten to. For the U.S., certainly adding more tariffs and escalate trade war in light of the COVID shock and so on is not a good idea, not good for the U.S. economy. For China, given that everything else has deteriorated, and I think China wants to hold on to something that's a tangible outcome.
Now it may be time for another twist. 2021 will see the start of a new US administration.
President-elect of the United States of America, Joe Biden.
Biden is still expected to apply pressure on Beijing. He said he won't immediately end his predecessor's Phase 1 agreement with China or remove tariffs. International trade lawyer Benjamin Kostreva worked at the US Trade Representative's office during the Obama administration.
I think that the Phase 1 deal was always seen as a temporary solution to catapult the negotiations into a Phase 2 deal. I think what they're going to do is they're going to do a comprehensive review of all the different aspects of the US-China relationship. So they'll look at the tariffs, they'll look at export controls, they'll look at sanctions, they'll look at some of the new restrictions on investment for Chinese companies, and they're going to determine what works for the American people and what doesn't.
As we head into the new year, tariffs remain on some $370 billion worth of Chinese goods. And Chinese purchases of US exports are running well behind target. Yet this faltering trade deal has become their strongest link.
There are other aspects of that Phase 1 deal that are working. So I think that the Phase 1 deal was always limited in ambition, but that scope has actually done well to maintain stability between the U.S.-China relationship.
2020 has been full of surprises. Trade becoming a stabilizing force in relations was perhaps unimaginable last year. But experts say while the trade deal has held, other parts of the US-China relationship could take years to repair. Michelle Hennessy, TRT World, Hong Kong.